Coming up on this week's episode of We Have Till 5. I don't enjoy watching two men in their underwear rolling around, sweaty, unless there's a big, well-produced package before it.
Oh my gosh, and I don't think we're family friendly anymore, man. I mean Lesnar. Sorry, Brock.
I also want to apologize on behalf of my co-host. I know I didn't say anything.
I apologize, Brock Lesnar.
But because Brock Lesnar doesn't know his own strength,
he might just punch me.
If he rips Andrew in half and I get hit with his entrails, the force may be enough to knock me unconscious because Brock Lesnar is that strong.
My goodness, yeah. I'm Brock Lesnar. I just want to take this time to apologize to you.
Coming up after the break, it's Andrew Kent's top 5 favorite big man matches on We Have Till 5.
Some people listen to their podcasts in the car. Me, I record mine in the car. So join me, Jeff DeHaan, for the Go Home Spot. It's where I'll talk everything from NXT, Raw, SmackDown, or whatever other wrestling-related stuff swims through my head. So join me for the Go Home Spot, only on the Wrasslun Show Network.
Welcome to We Have Till 5. I'm at Adam Conta. Sitting across from me is the incomparable Andrew Kent. Andrew, how are you doing this week?
Super good.
Excellent. Well,
Super good.
You should be after that intro.
Yeah. I mean, my goodness. I mean, as much contention as you and I kind of share together, I mean, it's nice to know your opinion of me is at least kayfabe high, you know?
Game recognized game, sir.
Fantastic.
Andrew, you have an interesting topic this week. Top 5 big man matches.
Big man.
And I know you are not particularly a champion of the Haas.
No, I am not.
Genre. You much prefer your flippy dippies and your super indie no-sell garbage. But
back off. Back off for 1 second.
Okay, all right.
I don't like that.
I'm breaking the hold.
You have till 5.
I do have till 5.
I'm not actually crazy about the flippy dippies. I'm really not. You know, when I was a kid, I was all about the Jeff Hardys. I was all about the
no super kick parties for your birthday?
No super kick parties for me, man.
There you go.
You know what?
The Young Bucks just blocked us.
Yeah, sorry, Young Bucks. I don't. You know, I was only using you to get to Kenny Omega, anyways. But I'm more of I at least a little guy like Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. Like that's my bread and butter. CM Punk, even Daniel Bryan. I know he's little, but he wasn't really a flippy dippy guy. I'm a technical wrestler guy. I'm a storyteller guy.
Fair enough.
Ricochet, Will Ospreay is some of the most fun I've ever had watching wrestling, and the most angry I've ever been watching wrestling.
That's a fair assessment, I think, for most of the wrestling community.
So much fun to watch, and it makes me. The wrestling fan in me, the Bret Hart fan in me is like, my head is exploding.
I feel the same way about Wrestling Society X, which we'll have to sit down and talk about one
I'd
day.
love to.
So if it's not your bread and butter, why this list this week?
Well, this list is inspired by the upcoming main event of No Mercy between Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman.
But is that really the main event?
That it always is going to be the main event.
A couple of big dudes in the other main event as well.
That's true, man. But come on.
It's a debate for another time.
It's Brock Lesnar, man.
I agree personally. Yeah. If I'm booking, I put Brock and Braun on top as well. But again, that's a subject for a whole other time. Let's talk a little bit about what defines how do you define a big man match? Because your last list created some controversy.
It created some controversy, yeah.
Considering that a lot of people were like, well, he didn't say surprise. And
you're right.
He didn't define how long the time is. Not 1 week, in my opinion. But hey, again, we fought about that. That's in the past. I don't want to fight again.
I might bring it back up every few episodes just to see your face get red.
I'll call Al Snow, don't you?
Yeah, well, Perry Saturn too. We reconciled.
I feel like Perry. We should start naming this the Perry Saturn Network. Yeah. I have brought him up subsequently,
he's all
not
over the
just
place.
on this show, but other shows consistently for the last 3 weeks. This has become the Perry Saturn Network.
Been the Perry Saturn Network. For a little while, at least on this podcast, it was the Bruce Pritchard Network, and now it's the Perry Saturn.
If my buddy Paul Hurley listens to this show, he'll be very happy. He's a big Perry Saturn fan.
This for me was the only way you were going to make it on this list as a guy under 6'5", 240 was if you had just a showstopper.
Fair enough.
I don't believe I think, without giving anything away, I mean, I think the smallest guy on this list, height-wise, is 6'4".
So size-wise, we're talking at least well over 6 feet.
Yep.
And do we have a weight range as well?
Yeah, I'd say nothing. I don't think there's definitely nobody on this list under 260.
Okay, and is it...
And there was nobody considered on this list under 240.
All right. Now, do both guys have to be giants? Do they just have to be hosses? What's the category?
I tried as much as I could to make sure that both guys were considered, not giants, because, let's face it, there's only been 4 certified giants.
So, for example, let me use an example.
Please.
We all know that Braun Strowman easily fits into the big man category because he's a giant of a man.
6'9", 300 and some pounds.
But would a guy like, say, Brock Lesnar fit into the big man category?
Brock Lesnar does fit into this.
Because he's not a giant.
No.
But he is a hoss.
He is absolutely a hoss. So hoss, guys like Batista were considered for this list.
Okay.
But he did not make this list. He almost did. He had a great match with Undertaker.
But a Batista match could qualify.
A Batista match, if it was an absolute showstopper and he was fighting somebody who was easily considered for this list, would have made this.
I want to stop you right there.
Please.
You said didn't make the list.
Did not make the list.
So you're telling me Taker Batista is not on this list?
No, Taker Batista is not on this list.
I'm mad at you already. All right, here we go. We're starting.
You won't be. I don't think you will
We're keeping with tradition. I'm mad at you already.
It's very good.
All right.
It was definitely a cusp.
All right, Andrew. Then let's get to your first pick. Number 5.
Number 5, we're going back to, I'm guessing I wrote this down wrong. It must be 2011, not 2001, at Vengeance, where Mark Henry took on the Big Show.
It is 2011. Yes, correct. Let's talk about this match that shattered expectations and the foundations of the ring, please.
This match, first of all, I forgot how good Mark Henry's run as the champion was.
I think he is a very underrated wrestler.
Now, when you look at
the whole bloom of his career, the guy has like bursts of fantastic television and then other times of mediocrity. So I think it's been a very uneven career.
Yes.
But the times he's been good, he's been really good.
And I honestly don't think he's ever been this good before or since. This is the pinnacle of Mark Henry's career. I hope that we'll see another great Mark Henry like this. We likely will not. But this was a really, really, really fun match. And it's funny because those who really know me, Big Show could go, occasionally. He had a great couple matches with Braun Strowman this year. Let's face it, he's in the best shape of his career, but this was not a match I was really expecting to be here. And it almost did get bumped for one of my honorable mentions, but I could not bump the ring spot for 2 reasons. It had been the first time we'd seen it in a long time, and also nobody could have predicted it. The more I thought about it, this was not the main event. There was a match to go on after this.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about the positioning of this match on the card.
So when I thought about it, it was like there was another match that I might have liked the match slightly better. But not enough better to put it over the ring spot. The ring spot honestly made this match sneak in on that list. It was a great match. They had some great chemistry. They both are pretty fast for big guys. Even Big Show at one of his heaviest weights of his career back in 2011. And Mark Henry picks him up like he's nothing. Mark Henry genuinely is incredibly strong.
I don't think that he gets enough credit for that title of World's Strongest Man because he is a genuine freak of strength. So I'm happy to see both those guys get their due on the block. That's fantastic. What do you have in store for us next, Andrew? We're going to find out in just a minute, right after the break. Hey, it's at Adam Cota.
And at Matthew Sugrum.
We do the Wrasslun Show podcast.
And it is tons of fun.
What happened on Raw this week? What went down on SmackDown? We're going to tell you what we think.
Who's going to win the big match at the upcoming pay-per-view? Do they still call them pay-per-views?
We run the gamut. Everything from Cuban hotel guys to bloodthirsty Canadians. My wife just texted, I'm a cut someone.
Case in point, bloodthirsty Canadians.
It's the Wrasslun Show podcast.
Streaming now on the Wrasslun Show Network.
And we're back with the number 4 spot on Andrew's list.
Number 4, I'm going back to the Big Show. Well, I couldn't believe how much I actually enjoyed his work in this for this list.
Let me stop you right there and say that doesn't surprise me in the least. Much like Mark Henry, I think Big Show is criminally underrated by the pro wrestling community.
I realized that this week, really.
I think that as both an entertainer, but especially as an in-ring talent, now here's the thing. When he is motivated, Show is exceptional. When he is not motivated, when he is out, like 2006, that was a rough year for the Show. Even as the ECW champion and doing everything that he could, he was hurt. He was out of shape. It was not a good time for him. When he's in shape and he's motivated, the Big Show is one of the best performers you can have on a roster.
Yeah, no, I have definitely soured on him in the last few years with the flip-floppy turns.
But that's not really his fault.
I know it's not. And that's why I've always felt bad. I've always liked Big Show as a person. I've always appreciated his backstage stuff. He's funny. He's got a big heart, literally and figuratively. But his work on this list, he earned his spot on my list, and I was very impressed. This one at Cyber Sunday 2008 with The Undertaker, their last man standing match. I did not expect this to rank among my favorite last man standing matches, but this might, if I did a last man standing show, which I'm sure I will, 'cause it's one of my favorite stipulations. This one I think could easily sneak in at least in his honorable mention, and it might squeak a few out.
You know, it's funny because when you talk about that, a lot of people would poo-poo that match quite easily away. But if you really look at it and analyze it before even watching it, all the elements are there to make a classic. In 2008, this was Big Show. This was the year that he returned after trying to become a boxer. So he is in, I think, the best shape of his career at this point in time. So 2008, you have a fresh, in shape, and motivated Big Show. You have The Undertaker, who is fresh off of his feud with Edge, one of the hottest feuds of the year, proving that he is still the best at what he does. And again, it's The Undertaker. So this is, and it's the Big Show, couple of veterans who understand the business, know how to put on an incredible matchup. All the tools are there. So it really shouldn't be a surprise to a lot of people. Again, another match that gets kind of swept under the rug by a lot of fans because it involves these two big guys, when really they should be excited that it involves two of the best in the industry, two veterans with so much longevity in the last decade or so. So tell us about what makes this match so awesome.
Well, I loved that this was fought during the establishment of Big Show's KO punch. And some of the stuff leading up to it, kayfabe allegedly broke bones in the Undertaker's face, and he really hurt him. And it's great. It's really physical right from the get go. What I was really surprised to see was there was a chair shot to the head. Two of them in this match, and this is 2008. This is post Bob Holly. I wondered internally during it, I was wondering if they gotten crap when they hit back, or if they forgot. I mean, they're both old school, right? When they're putting together a match, they're not necessarily thinking about that. I was surprised. There's two chair shots to the head in this match.
My theory. It's The Undertaker, so we just let him do what he wants.
Exactly, right? I loved that this was a battle between two strikers. I mean, Undertaker is often called the best striker in WWE. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but he certainly throws a lot of punches, so that that allows him to be there. I loved the spike DDT on the Big Show. That takes guts as a 500-pounder. I can't imagine being let me drop me on my 500-pound head. Like I couldn't believe that they tried that. There was some really great near finishes in this, particularly one leading into the final act of this match. He's out. Undertaker's outside the ring. He's across the barricade, and basically Big Show picks him up and choke slams him over the barricade through the announce table, and Undertaker barely gets up. And from there, the final act of this match is basically Undertaker surviving and somehow throwing up it wasn't named the Hell's Gate yet, but kind of the establishment of that finisher.
Triangle choke.
Yeah, choking out the Big Show and barely getting up for the 10 himself. It was a great finish. A last man standing match is only as good as its finish. You could have 25 minutes of an A+ match, but if it doesn't have a good finish, then we're talking like it would be going down immediately to like an A-, maybe less, depending on the rest of the match. A last man standing match with a crappy finish is just not good enough.
Yeah, I think I could agree with you on that one because, I mean, hey, it's the old saying, right? People always remember the first thing you see and the last thing you see, so you got to leave them with something incredible, and that match certainly was. All right, so we've already had a match where the ring broke, and another match where these two veterans threw everything at each other. I'm curious now. What's your number 3 pick?
Number 3 is a match that as soon as... So I had to look at lists this week, kind of like of best big man matches, and kind of pick the ones I was going to watch. And this is one that I found that I immediately put on the list and dared it to get knocked off the list because they're two of my favorite big men of all time. You suggested this one to me. It was already on my radar at the time. Big Boss Man versus Bam Bam Bigelow at Royal Rumble 1993. I think so much fun.
This is the quintessential big man, the Haas psychology match.
Yes.
This is a match where if you're a bigger dude in the business and you want to know how to work as a big guy against another big guy, this is the match to watch, especially Boss Man. Because Bam Bam was back with the Fed and he was getting a big push as a heel, or was being groomed to be a big heel that year. So it was Boss Man's job to make him look good, and man, did he ever do that job well.
Very, very, very good match. First of all, for me, because I was introduced to the Boss Man in the Attitude Era, the late 90s, the 2000s. So it was really weird for me to see a babyface Boss Man. Very, I forgot that he had that Hard Times run.
Really?
With the company, because I wasn't watching in '93. I mean, I was 5 years old, right?
I can't think of a time in my life where I didn't know the words to Hard Time.
Really, eh?
That Jimmy Hart song was amazing.
Completely forgot that. So
all
as soon
I know
as it comes
is
out,
that
people are cheering. I was like 2000 me was like, what the heck?
Ever since I was 5 years old, I told myself never go down to Cobb County, Georgia, and if I did, I better respect the law and order, or I'll serve hard
or else he'll kill your dog and make you eat him.
Oh wait, hey now, come on, this was a different era, sir. There was no killing of dogs in that era.
Oh my goodness. The first thing that jumped out about this match to me was, how do two men... Boss Man was one of the guys I was looking at this list. He might be the smallest guy in this list.
That's saying something.
Okay, he's the second smallest guy in this list, but we already mentioned the other guy previously, so we know he counts. Boss Man, being 6'6", 320 pounds, is probably the smallest guy who made this list officially.
320 at that time?
I think
93?
So. I'm pretty sure he might have only been two.
I'm going to call skeptic on that one. Now, I totally believe he was 320 when he first got to the WWE in 89. Yeah. Because he was a lot bigger, because that was back in his Big Bubba days, and Bubba was big back then.
Bubba was big.
But I think he trimmed down quite a bit. Now, mind you, I would still say 300-pound mark. I would still say that 300-pound mark. Absolutely.
These guys do not move like big men.
No,
and I think that's why I like. I think that's why I like Boss Man. I think that's why I like Bigelow. I like Vader. I like Undertaker. I like Kane. These guys were big men. Who I like Samoa Joe. Not like Samoa Joe. I think if Samoa Joe could have made this list, he was not considered.
But I would put him as a big man.
I would. Yep, I would put him on a list like
his
this.
height might disqualify him. I don't know how tall he is.
Well, but we talked about Cactus Jack, right? And I think Cactus Jack, if the match is incredible, I think Cactus Jack can make this list against the right opponent.
I guess there's always a little bit of leeway.
Yes. There was some really, really cool there's some cool spots in this match. I love that they took big spills over the top rope. I mean, it's always cool to see the big man go over the top rope and hit the floor hard. Brain Heenan, Bobby the Brain, had some great commentary in this. At one point he says, and I quote, "Come on, Bam Bam, Bam Bam his back." And I'm like, that's genius. I love it. It's so bad. He was so annoying.
That's why they call him the Brain.
Oh my gosh. I love that one of the turnarounds was, so the match was all Bam Bam for a little while in the middle, and the turnaround is Bam Bam runs off the ropes, goes for a crossbody, and the big boss man just ducks it. It's beautiful. It's great. Like, and normally stuff like that in wrestling looks kind of crummy, but he just blocked it and he just barely soared over him. It was beautiful. I loved it. My only gripe about this match is I found that the finish seemed rushed. It seemed like there was an act 1, there was an act 2, and act 3 was the finish, and that was it. It was sort of like, we're running out of time, the referee sends them home. Like, they have another 5 minutes planned, but the referee's like, sorry guys, we gotta go. It's the only problem with this match. It just seemed a little rushed. Boss Man had taken over briefly, throws him in the corner, eats a kick to the face, diving headbutt, we go home.
Maybe Bruce Pritchard will have the answer for that on Something to Wrestle With us someday. Maybe you can tweet him.
I should.
And ask him about
Bruce,
that.
I'm recording a podcast.
Even still, that means that the first and second act had to have been so good.
They were very good.
That it still made it to number 3.
Absolutely.
What could possibly be better? We'll find out after the break. Hey, it's at Adam Conta.
Hey, I'm Drew Ferris.
We came up with the idea for this show, Ropes to Reels, where we talk about movies that have something to do with wrestling.
Could be anything. Could be the story. Could be the plot. Could be one of the executive producers. It's just got to rope around somehow to professional wrestling.
We're going to review everything from the Scorpion King to Ready to Rumble.
From The Wrestler to Scooby-Doo WrestleMania Mystery.
So grab your popcorn
And put on your elbow pads.
and join us in the Theater of the Mind every week for Ropes to Reels.
Streaming now on the Wrasslun Show Network.
All right, Andrew, hit us with number 2.
Number 2 is Judgment Day 2003. It's the first stretcher match in 17 years at the time, and maybe since. Have we seen a stretcher match since officially? We've seen some ambulance matches.
I think
we saw an RVD stretcher match.
Wait, here we go. Let me...
Oh, Poindexter, here we go.
Put the glasses up here.
Yeah.
I do believe Dave Bautista took on Shawn Michaels in a stretcher match in 2008. And I believe it was Judgment Day, as a matter of fact. Chris Jericho came out during the finish of the match to plead with Shawn Michaels to get up off of the stretcher. And I believe that was that particular instance. So, no, Andrew, it wasn't the only stretcher match we've seen since.
Fantastic. He actually
blocked on Twitter.
He actually grew a pocket protector and his suspenders came out of nowhere. You guys, you need to be here to see it. This was Big Show makes the list again versus Brock Lesnar. So Brock Lesnar being the smallest guy in this list.
Is it fair to say, well, first of all,
wow,
Brock Lesnar being the smallest guy on the list, that says something.
Yep.
Secondly, do you think it's fair to maybe say that the Big Show is the best big man in all of the business? How would you react to that statement?
He is certainly, what I learned through this match is he is the best big man versus big man wrestler in the, because I still think The Undertaker would be the best of all time, but The Undertaker got good matches, believable matches out of Shawn Michaels, out of Stone Cold, smaller guys who were much smaller, and Bret Hart. That, to me, Undertaker's still the best big man of all time, but Big Show, I think, is a close. He's certainly in the top 3. I don't know. I'm a huge Vader fan. Believe it or not, Vader didn't make this list, but I tried freaking real hard get Vader on this list.
I love Vader too. So
I tried everything to get Vader on this list.
Looking at the clock, it actually is Vader time right now.
It is in fact Vader. It's time. It's Vader time. Vader, but again, Vader specialized, I think, in being the big guy,
being a bully
in David and Goliath matches, as opposed to being in Hoss fights.
I agree with you on that one. So then let's talk about the Big Show again. Mm-hmm. This match, I love this match. Yes. I think it's a great one as well. Yeah. I'm really glad to see it on this list. Mm-hmm. Why this one?
The all the lead in a lot of the times a lead-in makes it. It's why when I go back and watch these matches, I don't know if you do the same thing whenever you're going back, like, oh, I want to watch, Royal Rumble 1992 and I want to see, this match. I always watch the package before.
I agree.
Always.
100%.
It's super important. It's why we watch wrestling. The story at the end of the day is why we watch it. And the match is an extension of the story going in. So I always go back and watch it.
Andrew and I are big fans of watching packages. We just love to stare at them.
Put a package right in my face.
Put a package in our face. We'll watch it all day. We can't. You know what? Honestly, I can honestly say I don't enjoy watching two men in their underwear rolling around, sweating, unless there's a big, well-produced package before it.
Oh my gosh! And I don't think we're family friendly anymore, man.
Well, I mean, okay, maybe not.
We might have to edit that out. So the package was beautiful. I
don't think there's anybody out there that can argue that the WWE's production team is one of the best in the world, if not the best.
All the stuff with Rey Mysterio, and first of all, he's not in this match. I mean, he shows up in this match, but that bump that he takes from the stretcher to the ring post onto his face on the that's insane.
It's not even the post. It's when he falls and hits the ground face first.
I can't believe he wasn't out for 6 months being the glass man that he is. This was so much fun. They go after each other right away. They get the stretcher involved right away with the plastic stretcher. Man, they're hitting each other hard with that thing. My goodness.
A lot of meat there. A lot of meat to take the brunt of it.
My gosh. And the Big Show took a huge rolling stretcher right to the face. I think he tried to block it. I don't think he did. I can't believe we didn't see any juice with that one. He takes over a few minutes in this match, punishing Brock before giving him a choke slam and putting him on the stretcher. That's our first stretcher set. And he almost he rolls him out of the ring and he can't quite get him up the thing. So Brock's big turnaround on the ramp. I loved that he chokes the Big Show out with the cable from the camera.
They got very creative in this match.
But then, and I think this was on purpose, I think that's the best part, so then he tries to roll him up, but the cable's still around his neck, and he tries to push him, and Big Show gets yanked off the stretcher, because one of the big stories they were telling in this match was, is there a stretcher big enough
for the Big
Show to be wheeled out of here? So that was Brock's only chance to choke him out. He has the cable still around his neck, but now he can't get him up the ramp because the cable's still around his neck. I thought that was cool. The very thing that gave him the upper hand was now the thing that was thwarting him. I'm a sucker for storytelling like that. I think they did it on purpose, and if not, I still love it. But I mean, let's face it, this match is nothing without the forklift being driven aggressively by a big old Southern man.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm assuming you mean. Can you honestly tell me that Brock Lesnar does anything non-aggressively?
No, I can't. The guy's out of his mind.
I think the moment he had children, they had to hire a nanny because they knew that he tried to rock them to sleep, they would end up with broken necks.
Yeah, shaken baby syndrome, just him.
Not because he doesn't care. No. Just because I honestly believe Brock Lesnar doesn't know his own strength.
Doesn't know. I feel bad for Rena Mero. Lesnar. Sorry, Brock.
I also want to apologize on behalf of my co-host. I know I didn't say anything.
I apologize, Brock Lesnar.
But because Brock Lesnar doesn't know his own strength,
he might just punch me.
If he rips Andrew in half and I get hit with his entrails, the force may be enough to knock me unconscious because Brock Lesnar is that strong.
My goodness. Yeah, Brock Lesnar, I just want to take this time to apologize to you. You had a great match with the Big Show at Judgment Day 2003. It was a stretcher match.
But not great enough to get the number one spot.
Quite.
So, Andrew, tell the world, including Brock Lesnar, what match beat him for the number one spot.
So, this match I've talked about on this podcast before, very early on when we were doing Best WrestleManias. This is one of the only, previous to this, one of the only big man on big man matches that I ever loved. So this was always my number one, and I kind of put it there early on and then watched 25 other matches saying, beat it.
Right. And none of them could.
None of them did.
Ironically enough, much like one of the guys in this match, many have tried, but almost all failed. And ironically enough, it was Brock Lesnar that was able to do
Brock Lesnar to do it.
He was like, "You're going to top me in the big man matches? I'm going to take away your streak."
Yeah, that's actually why he did it. I've been working on this list for 5 years.
Turns out Brock Lesnar's a time traveler. We didn't know this.
This is Undertaker versus Kane, the brother versus brother at WrestleMania 14.
Of course it is.
And I always thought that I liked this match nostalgically, but all the lists I looked at, this was at least in the top 5. Yeah. Every single one of them, and it was at that moment I realized that I had really great taste in wrestling matches.
Oh boy, he humble bragged.
No, this match. First of all, it's probably the best kind of supernatural story they ever told in the WWE. Like all that, I'm not going to call it campy because it's not the gobbledygooker, but like it was totally unbelievable. You had to completely suspend your disbelief more than you usually do to watch wrestling. They're throwing lightning at each other, and Undertaker's a murderer, and this has been proven now, and the police are still not showing up to at least question him. And
my friend Aaron came up with a retirement angle. He always said that the way he wanted the Undertaker and Kane to retire was for them to have one match against each other where Taker throws a lightning bolt, Kane throws a fireball, they both explode, their mask and their hat are left in the middle of the ring, and they're never seen again.
That would be beautiful. It'd be fantastic. It'd be
now that didn't happen in this match, but what did happen, Andrew?
Well, you had this story, the overarching story of this whole match was the Undertaker has never been beaten up quite like this. Kane is unstoppable. Kane, everything the Undertaker does that normally puts people down, choke slams, tombstones, cannot put this man down. He tries diving over the top rope as he would often do, and he gets chucked through the announce table instead. He tries to do old school and can't hit it. He has to hit 3 tombstones to beat it, and even then, Kane kicks out at 3.2. This is probably the best told big man match ever, because it wasn't just, hey, we're big and we're going to do things that are big and we're going to have a good match while we do it, but we're big and that's kind of the main attraction. These guys told a beautiful story that would have been told the exact same way if they were Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Like it's just a good wrestling match between two great wrestlers. And the story, they put Kane over really well. And it's funny, I talked about this during the WrestleMania show that we did. At the time, if I had been the wrestling fan that I am today, I would have been so mad that The Undertaker went over. Because storyline-wise, it made no sense. And I'm so thankful for all of the matches we got in the years to follow that the streak was still intact. But when you have to protect a guy as much as you did Kane, maybe just put him over. maybe the best way to get him over at that point is not like, wow, it took everything that you could do to stop this guy to stop him. Maybe just don't stop him. You know?
It still ended up being great for everybody.
Amazing match.
And certainly for all of us who are big fans of that feud, just the beginning of many, many chapters in that storied career of The Undertaker and Kane and their symbiotic relationship. And I agree. I don't think there was any match that could have been in that top spot. But hey, what do I know? More importantly, what does Andrew Kent know?
Nothing.
Even though he's incomparable and incomparable, we want to know what you think. What is the best big man match in history? What's your top 5? Let us know at Smarks Anonymous or at this program at We Have Till 5. Until then, your call to action for this week is to go out and watch one of the matches on this list that you haven't seen, because I know everybody's seen Kane Undertaker listening to this one. So watch one of the other matches.
Watch Boss Man Bigelow.
I recommend that one highly, and I also recommend the Lesnar Big Show stretcher match, especially if you like your sports with a lot of entertainment on the side. So, but there's tons of great choices there for that one. Andrew, I'm really anxious to see your honorable mention video this week, and I'm anxious to see what you have in store of us over the next weeks. Anything to say before we wrap things up today?
I'm just so thankful I didn't get shouted at this week.
It was close.
No, it wasn't.
Well, I don't know. Batista Taker match from Cyber Sunday is one of my favorite big man matches as well. But You made some really compelling arguments for the other 5. The other 5, I can't argue them as not being deserving.
I love
either,
that.
So there you go.
I did it.
Andrew has I have conceded to Andrew. And speaking of that, for the conceded Andrew Kent at Smarks Anonymous, I'm at Adam Conta. And for this week on We Have Till 5, we're breaking the hold. See you next week.